what I was going to do in the last video was I was going to just keep recording it, but I decided that to the benefit of the person who's actually trying to use this software, I actually should do 30-minute chunks. So I'm just going to do 30-minute chunk tutorials on how to use this. And yeah, I'm going to start off where we had left last time. And this time, so we did models, textures, the engine. This time, I think I'm going to go into lighting and building and the bar to the right. We've covered the bar to the left, but we haven't covered parts of Radiant, and we also haven't covered the bar on the right. Now the question would be, how would we change this lighting environment to red light, which is pretty creepy? That's more like horror. If you're in a concrete room like this, you're gonna have, it could be like this, but you would also have a lamp that is flickering and things, and I'm going to go into those kind of things much later on, like advanced lighting tutorials. But what if you wanted just this white light, but you also wanted a red light that's kind of coming out, and then you also wanted to have a ray coming down, so that you're walking, like everyone knows that, the obligatory rays that come down as if from the heavens. And also, you didn't want to be stuck in a room. Well, let's be stuck in a room now, but let's remove the roof and let's make it into sky. And I realize I haven't gone over sky yet. I went over common, I went over water. So how about sky? And how about colored lighting, etc.? Okay, so let's go out of render. If you go to render, you can actually see the light. And let's hold shift and left click on the white. Now if you left click on the white in any room, this is the easiest way, because if you try to select a light, I'll just show you here. If you try to select a light in Radiant, you're going to select what the mouse is closest to, which is the wall in front of the light. So you can't really select a light unless you want to delete the wall, move the wall, but that could be tricky for some people. So you just go in the world camera and you left click holding shift the white, almost diamond here. Now we're selected, right? And by the way, I don't think I showed people how to actually make a light, right? I just made it really fast. So if you want to make a light, you can either go new entity light, and these are different types of lights. So this is parallel, point, real, spotlight. That should be pretty easy to understand. I mean, I'm not going to make a tutorial about it, just try these different ones. But, you know, spotlight is like Batman. Parallel is straight down. It's not a spot, it's just literally a square down. Point from a certain direction. Real is more natural, like outdoor lighting, inside. But what you're going to want to do, because that gets more complicated, and we're going to be doing an outdoor scene, so just do a light anyways, right? So you just go, as I said, new light, and it's selected here. But how do you change the light so it's a different color? Well, you want to go into something called the Entity Inspector. Now the Entity Inspector is probably the most important part of Radiant. The reason for that is that you can change almost any feature of anything in here. You can change textures, brushes, or so you can change textures, models, various entities. It doesn't have to be an entity. You can change models too in here and textures. But you know, let's say we take this light, which is an entity. It's a type of entity. If you want to change the light color, all you got to do is double click here. This opens something called the color picker. Anyone should be used to this. This is like paint, right? You can load image. You can assign presets. You can choose a color from an image. And so, you know, let's say we want, I was saying red light. Okay, red light. Okay. Alright, hit escape to deselect. Now the white has turned to red because it's a red light. Now any other color will turn the color of the color it's trying to generate. So let's hit render. So that's kind of cool, right? That's creepy. Now I'll make this window bigger so you can see. And even the gun, right? The gun doesn't have a texture, it's blue, but it kind of looks cool here. Like it looks like a regular pistol. Can't really see any texture, but it's black. But yeah. Now I could also just do another, let's say, white light. So it's white light and red light, right? And that kind of looks strange, doesn't it? That kind of gives it a pink. So one thing you can also do, and I haven't seen people doing this even in Radiant, but I'm sure developers do, you can mix lights together to create strange effects. I mean, look at this now too. Go to render. Well, look here. So it's kind of bluish green, the shadows now, with red shadows as well. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Now, go out of here. If you delete this one, go back to render, we just have black shadows. So anyways, the point is you can mess around with color and lights and get cool effects. One of the benefits of this engine, and this is what it said in the help guide, and I don't know if I agree with it, I don't know if this is real, but it said you could use as many lights as you wanted and it doesn't affect render times. I don't know, maybe. That would be interesting. So, you know, from that premise, you can use as many lights, different lights that you want. You know, why don't I add a green light in the corner? But I'm going to add a small green light. Now, if you want to change the size of a light, and I'm going to make the world camera smaller, you click on the green. The green means you can make it as big or small as you like. Right, so I'm going to make it kind of the corner. And one of the annoying things about this, though, and you click on the white inside the box to move it, one of the annoying things of this is you can't just stretch it left. If you stretch it left, it just gets fat on both sides. So that's one of the parts that I don't like. But okay. So we got a light up there. Now, interestingly enough, it's like kind of green, right? From white and red mixing together as the shadows cast on the top. Okay. Now, what if we change this light to green? And sometimes it's hard to find this little guy to move it up, but you eventually do. And double click here. Click on green. And you can also do dark, but the darker you get, just like if you go to black, if you go to black on a light, you will not see anything. So click on green, hit escape. Now we're going to go back to the world camera. Hit render. Well, see, it's not bright, is it? Not very bright at all. But you can see a little bit of green there. Okay. Okay, so here we are back. Uh, I had some trouble with getting the green light to work here in this tutorial, and that's why there was that cut in the video. And for some reason I found out that it was not generating light, and I don't know why. I will look that up and figure it out. But in any case, I changed the light color here to green. And I just wanted to demonstrate because there's 3 lights in this room here. Just how cool it looks, right? It looks so bizarre. It looks it's becoming psychedelic. So you can do a lot with lights here and shadows. Now I will show you in the actual engine here. Now whenever you click on an engine and you want to get out of engine, all I do is Alt Tab, right? And then I can click on World Edit and go back. And then I can adjust this so I can see more of the engine. And then once I click back in the engine window, okay, I'm in the game. I can't get out again unless I hit Alt Tab. So I'm going to just show you a level I made, and it's not as nice as this level. I will compile this level, but I also created a level a little while ago where I was testing out what we're doing here, various lights, etc. And I'm going to show you also in this map how there's a ray of light coming down from the sky. And then I'm going to show you how to make that. And that's going to conclude the lighting tutorial and particles. That should be enough information to get started, and I will go into the other entity lighting later, the advanced lighting, in the next tutorial. But I go into the console here, and I'm going to type in my map. Now when you load a map in Rage, you get this menu, and this is the same menu you get when you're modding. Now I was going to show a tutorial on how to create a mod for Rage, and I guess I could, but it seems kind of pointless to me because you can just load the map here, and I'm eventually going to be modding and releasing something where it's just going to be a standalone package. You don't need Rage to use this. So I'm not going to show how to make a mod. It should be pretty straightforward. There's a tutorial in Idstudio Help, but this is basically what it means to load a map. Now I have video recording software, I have Photoshop, I have VLC Media Player open, and we're also in the editor too while we're loading the engine, so this is going to take a while, but okay, so as you'll see in this map, there is various foliage that is kind of just waving around, and part of this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this foliage, how to lay it, and what foliage is provided with Idstudio. And as you can see, a lot of slowdown while recording video and running all this stuff. But as you can see in this map, there's a blue, there's a red, there's a green light in different places. And then here, this is an example of a particle. This is a ray of light coming down. Now it's a very intense light. It's almost like God coming down to the burning bush or something. It's just blinding. Like if you looked at this, if this is real life, you wouldn't be able to see. But I'm going to show you how to make this and also change it so it's lighter or brighter, however, whatever you want to do. I'm going to show you how to modify a particle like this. And there's like hundreds of particles in this game. I have not gone through them all, but I will show you how to make one of them. And this is just a light model here. And again, if you right click on this model and you go to Entity Inspector, you can make it so light comes out of this. If you don't want light to come out of it, what you would do is you would change the color to black. If you just want this and literally there's nothing coming out of it. But right now, as you can see, it's glowing because there's light associated with it in the Entity Inspector. I think it must be, it is actually green. Green is coming out of here. It is producing the green. Now, if you wanted the model to be green, you'd have to actually change the model to be green. But anyways, if I now going into this, now we're actually in the engine testing on a map. What can you do here? Okay, so you can hit no clip. And no clip, you can kind of go around. Now I did remove water here, but we will make a level with water later. But if you type in noclip, right, you can float in the air, you can explore your level, you can do all the cheats that everyone knows from Quake. You can do God mode, give all. Now I will show you this. If you type give all, what happens is that it literally just crashes because it cannot load, and especially if you're messing around with things. But this isn't my fault. I didn't mess around with machine guns, but machine gun left. Doesn't have it, failed to load. So it's just going to go to the main menu. So if you want to go back to that map, you can, but I won't. But you can either type map to test your map. Now if you type map, you're not going to have cheats like no clip and give weapons, but what you want to type is dev map. Just like any of the later, like anything from Quake 3 to Quake 2 Evolved and any of those custom games, you type dev map, just the same thing. A couple other things. If you wanna test out weapons in the game, you can do it like this, right? You can go give weapon / pistol. Now I have no idea what will happen here because I'm not on a map. Let's try it out. I don't know. I guess I have a pistol if I load a map now. But you can give weapons. You can give any kind of prop, any kind of pickup you can give, etc., etc. Now, there's one last thing that I want to show you in regards to the console, and I will have to load a map for this. I want to show you how you can change the physics in the game. And this example I'm going to show you now is basically like a Dragon Ball Z type example that I've built where, okay, so I'm starting again. I wanted to point out something that's kind of funny, just this article here. Now you can enjoy this boring game. I think Rage was kind of boring in ways. I think that was why it I think that's why it hasn't been modded. I think that's why it kind of slipped under the radar. It's a good game though. It's an amazing engine. But yeah, I just wanted to show you, this is a website here. Probably the handiest website if you want to use the console. You just search in Google Rage console cheats Steam, and it's the first link, and it gives you everything. But you can change your sprint speed, you can change your walking speed, you can change your crouch speed and your jump height. So let me show you something here. Alright, so right now I don't move. Oh, okay. I didn't actually put God mode on, so let me show you this. So you can change the sprint speed. Now type God so I don't die. I'm invincible now. But PM sprint speed, right? Let's say 3000. See how fast I'm sprinting now? And I can actually jump. And if you can imagine, you know, some of the modding capabilities for this, like you could create a Dragon Ball Z style map where you're fighting in the air, etc. There's a lot to do. And yeah, that's about it. Now, there's a couple things that I still haven't shown you around lighting, around I promised I was going to show you water, and I promised I was going to show you sky. Now this is sky here, right? And as you can see in the top, this is a more modern skybox, because in the past there was no particles of cloud that would come under. It would just be this surrounding skybox. So it's a high quality, high texture skybox, and you got these here. Now I would like to modify these clouds. They look kind of basic now. I want big fluffy clouds that come by. So that will be a goal too. But that's the skybox. Okay? So how do you create a skybox? So let's make this room into a skybox. So to do a skybox, you want to go into materials and you want to find something that's sky. Now I'll show you here the material definition of sky and why it makes it into sky when you load it. So the one that is most common that Rage uses is called GSkyDome, located in skies, the folder in textures. Now you can see here how complicated texture maps are, right? It's also taking models. This here, see if I can show it to you. And again, you change texture, you change brush, you have to refresh to actually see it. And you're going to have to delete that, because that's going to leak. Anything you have outside of your map is going to leak, and then you can't actually compile your map. So this needs to be moved over, for sure. And we need to refresh. Now is this... It's too much over. I'm just going to delete this for now, just to show you this concept. So as you can see here, it says models, and then HL chump sky clouds, right? Like, what is that? What is this model? Why is it referring to a model for the sky? Well, you right click, you go to model. Let's see if we can find this here. So one sec, let's go back and actually find the place of where it was. Map objects, okay. So you just go to models and home and go to, I think this is map objects, skies, right? Go to skies. There we go. So Chomsky, right? These are the clouds. So what it does is, I'm going to show this to you. This is kind of interesting. It looks like a snow globe. Well, this one doesn't. This one actually looks like the sky. You can load one that's very small that'll fit inside of a map, just to give you a demonstration. But let's see if we can see this, right? This is the sky. This is what you're seeing. It's not simply the texture, right? Like older games would take a texture and create a skybox. It's actually creating a model when you load the game around where you created your sky texture. Just like this. This is the model that's used. So that's it about skies, right? Now in our level here,